Whenever I would get sick or come down with a cold, Disney and Pixar's movie WALL-E was always something my parents would put on to make me feel better. I've got a pretty good reason why I love the movie, and it's due to its sci-fi qualities, how it differentiates itself from other movies, the 2000s tech usage, and how it gives a nostalgic vibe. I also love the powerful message it brings and just the overall atmosphere of the show. You know what else I love for its sci-fi qualities, 2000s vibe, message, and uniqueness? Hello, my name is Surmi, and today I'm going to be comparing the great movie WALL-E to Glitch and Liam Vickers' Murder Drones. I've seen the two compared with the WALL-E robot, normally representing a worker drone, and the probe drones, or what Eve is, representing a disassembly drone. This movie and TV show are similar, but they're not a one-by-one replica of each other. If you've seen WALL-E, you'll know the plot mostly by heart, but if you haven't, let me give you a short recap. Earth is a desolate land covered in trash, so humans decide to make WALL-E robots. WALL-E, I'm talking like Jay. She's so mad at you, for some reason. I don't like how hot this light is. Earth is a desolate land covered in trash, so humans decide to make these WALL-E robots to clean while they're on a cruise spaceship far, far away. After 700 years on the ship, known as the Axiom, there's only one WALL-E left cleaning what seems to be New York. Hey, MD Episode 7 reference. This silly little guy does his job while collecting little items that he thinks are interesting. He collects all these things, from lighters to movies to physical media, but realizes deep down the one thing he's truly missing is love. So poetic. That's all changed when Eve, or our disassembly drone, is sent to Earth from the Axiom to find signs of life. This could come in plant varieties mostly, or like another human living there and is somehow alive still. WALL-E and Eve become fond of each other over time, which brings WALL-E to showing her a plant in a boot, which is a sign of life. Eve then takes the plant into herself, and they're blasted back into space and to the Axiom. They're hoping to deliver this plant to, I'm actually not sure where they're supposed to put it, but it recognizes that something in it is a plant and then takes the ship back to Earth. I don't know. That's just how it works. They go through thick and thin trying to get this plant to where they need it to be, from AI taking over the ship to humans being way too big and boneless to walk. WALL-E and Eve find themselves in way too many situations as they're being targeted as rogue robots, when they're really just trying to get this plant back to where it's supposed to be. The evil AIs on the ship are trying to keep the plant from going into this little compartment so that humans can, I guess, get dumber and dumber so that they can take over the universe. Sounds familiar. In the end, the captain finally takes a stand, literally, and sends everyone back to Earth to make it a better place. The beauty of this movie to me is the lack of dialogue it needs. It gives a pure representation of what could happen if we just let trash flood the Earth. It also gives a clear representation of what could happen if we let AI take over our lives. Nothing would be created anymore, and these brain-rotted humans who are just mush at this point wouldn't do anything except for lay around in chairs all the time.
We'll survive.
I don't want to survive! I want to live!
But these two spontaneous characters find a way, and it's, dare I say, epic. Now, what the heck does this have to do with the hit show Murder Drones? I'll tell you. A while back, my dad and I had a conversation about the hit show, and he brought up how it's literally just a copy-paste of WALL-E. Well, if you listen to the lore and my explaining, you'd think differently. No, past me. He's kinda right. I'm assuming most of you have heard about Murder Drones. If not, go watch it, and why are you here? I'm not talking about the lore or the characters, I'm talking about the narrative side of things. WALL-E and Eve, as previously mentioned, are two different drone types similar to our Newsy dynamic. They're basically a Newsy swap. AU is the best way I could describe it. Anne is basically the worker drone now, WALL-E, and Uzi is now the disassembly drone, Eve. With the movie WALL-E's character designs, the two are very different from Liam's wacky style. WALL-E workers don't have wings and don't fly, and you cannot turn them into a zombie drone because that doesn't exist. But you can give him a fire extinguisher in space. However, our disassembly Eve can fly. Disassembly drones don't necessarily flap their wings while they fly. I think somebody made a theory on the little holes in their wings being propellers, basically, and I can basically see that happening to Eve as well. A difference that I would overlay on top of that, however, is that disassembly drones do not try and hunt for plants or any signs of life. We live on Copper 9, not Planet 8. In terms of the two robots falling in love, we can see the universes aligning there. Now, on to the next thing I noticed. This is about more narrative writing, so if you're not an English addict like I am, or you don't like literature, maybe this isn't for you, but I'm gonna teach you. Anyway, along the way, we're gonna come to my class. If you don't know, most stories follow a trope known as conflict. Ooh. Many stories use the following, which could be character versus character, character versus tech, character versus society, character versus nature, character versus fate, destiny, or self. If you want to call it internal conflict, you can do that as well. And character versus the supernatural. This can also branch into a bunch of different subcategories, which is the good versus evil kind of trope, and so on. In our movie WALL-E, the fundamental conflict is man versus technology, if we're talking Captain versus Otto. How this is the true main conflict, our subcategories can change. In the beginning, there's no real conflict besides WALL-E wanting love. We could label this as man versus himself, but character is always represented as main character, by the way, or at least most of the time. When he meets Eve, the conflict evolves when he reaches the axiom. The two of them want to share, quote, romantic moments, but this is interrupted by the fate of the Earth. This later turns into you either choose love or the fate of the universe, but only for a little bit. Sounds a little bit familiar. just a little bit. This is a man versus self, or if you will, an internal discord. Later on, it turns into good versus evil, men versus tech kind of quote, once some robots are revealed as evil. This is all important because Murder Drones follows the exact same pattern. In this show, our quote two main characters, Uzi and N, truly maintain a friendship because of their lack of healthy relationships. Uzi's father and all of her classmates aren't the nicest to her, and N gets straight up abused, so that's it. The two of them go through the same man versus self trope until pursuing the good versus evil, man versus man conflicts like WALL-E. In episode 6, however, N has to make the tough decision given to him by Tessa to save the universe by ridding Uzi and, well, the Solver from the universe, as she poses a threat while having supernatural abilities. Or N could love Uzi, but bring the whole universe down with him. This later turns back into the classic man vs. man, good vs. evil in episode 7, which follows the Tessin or Sinessa, whatever you want to call it, reveal. I forgot to mention, episode 5 also follows the man versus tech trope, as Sin poses a threat to humans, and it's a human-man character versus, technology. Sorry, excuse the Aladdin soundtrack in the back. I'm playing it, don't worry. So the narratives of conflict are very similar within WALL-E and Murder Drones, with their tropes following very fluently. Is there anything else? Both use situational irony very prominently while also dabbling a little bit in verbal irony. There are three types of irony: situational, dramatic, and verbal. Situational is mostly used when a plot drastically changes, like when Otto from WALL-E, our main villain, locked the captain in his chambers. This is also used when our spacesuit Tessa was revealed to be Sin. Or maybe when V sacrificed herself! Verbal irony is basically sarcasm, which many movies and TV shows have. Murder Drones is a show that heavily relies on cringe and sarcasm to make the show, well, funny. If the jokes don't even land, it's even better. That's just what Liam Vickers does. It's the funny thing. WALL-E has sarcasm too, it's just not so heavily focused on. Lastly is one that we don't truly need to focus on, but dramatic irony normally conveys a very heavily emphasized scene. Like when Gopher electrocuted WALL-E down a laundry chute, or maybe it was Otto, or in episode 3 when Uzi and N dance for the first time, a very romantically strong dramatic scene there. Both of these movies use this heavily, but a lot of movies use this as well. It's just a writer's trick That's it. One last narrative similarity is that they're both set in an omnipresent narrative. And no, I don't mean Omni-Man. We all know about third person, second, and first, but there's another aspect of these three. Third person limited, first person, omnipotent, I think that's how you pronounce it, and omnipresent in literature. Third person limited is from the perspective of only one character, normally being our main. It focuses on what they know and limits the audience's knowledge. With first person, it's the same thing with first, second, and third. That's it. We don't need to talk about this one that much because we already know about it, so let's just move on to the next one. Omnipresent, which is where we are, describes how the narrator is everywhere in the stories. To plot A, to B, and sometimes C. Omnipotent? Omnipotent. Yeah. Omnipotent is when the narrator can change the story, like Winnie the Pooh or something, but we need to focus on omnipresent. In WALL-E, we see WALL-E as the main character, but also Eve's perspective in the first half. She's confused by WALL-E's weird attraction to her, while also seeing WALL-E's acts of love. This prolongs into the axiom with Mary and John, or the captain, being a side plot C. This is also seen in Murder Drones, which is where we see N's perspective with Tessa in episode 6, with V in the ship during episode 3, and him and Nori during episode 7. We see Uzi's perspective as plot A, while N's is B, and Lizzie and Thad kind of step in as C sometimes, while J and V could do the same. Before I'm done with this video, however, I do want to point out some fun things I found inside WALL-E that could have found its way into Murder Drones. As inspiration, or just something Liam sniped from the sky and said, hey, that looked good inside of my show. Here are some things that I have noticed. Circling back to the 2000s tech, we can see that WALL-E and Nori from Murder Drones both use an iPod for music. This is a very common thing in Liam's work as a 2000s kid, with little VHS tapes having a role within the show, and older works of his things. Wired earbuds are common, however, I guess Earth has iPhones in 3070 whatever. Copper 9 doesn't have these things. They rely on old tech and old tech only. I guess Lizzie also has an iPhone. With WALL-E being a movie born in 2008, the iPods, cassettes, and all that stuff were more common. The two also tie themselves into a futuristic world while being robots and flying drones, which I find funny and similar between the two. B&L, or By and Large, is the big brand in WALL-E that could slightly resemble J.C. Jensen's place. The key bug for Murder Drones could also have been inspired by WALL-E's side companion Hal the cockroach. And that's all I have for comparing these two series. Now, I do know that WALL-E and Murder Drones have drastically different plots, with fleshy, zombie-like drones who want to kill humans on one side, and then robots wanting to save humanity on the other. But in the end, they're both sci-fi, maybe not similar in the mystery and thriller aspects, but definitely with their comedy. WALL-E, also being a early 2000s Pixar film, also makes jokes funnier now that Disney is way too strict. I love these two series, the two being my favorite genre, and I have fun yapping about it while tying it to my favorite subject, English and literature. Speaking of English and literature, my homemade Murder Drone Season 2 is being written on Wattpad and being finished soon, so go check that out. Let me know what you think is cool, what you think is not cool. Just don't let me know if it's the whole video. Let me know what you spotted in WALL-E that might have been on Liam Vickers' Pinterest Murder Drones board. It's been fun. Have a good day or night depending on where you live, and toodles! First off, I want to say, oh my gosh, thank you for 10,000 subscribers. It's actually crazy. I've always kind of had this aspiration to be like, oh yeah, I have a YouTube channel or something like that, but now I get to say oh yeah, I have a YouTube channel. How many subscribers? 10,000? That's crazy. Oh my gosh, thank you guys so much for the support. I love making videos and content for you guys based off of these stupid shows, and I love voice acting, rambling about stupid stuff like this, and I hope I didn't bore you with this. I mean, it was kind of like a very selective group of people who would probably enjoy this. I do like doing the commentary. Also, MD Comic, holy crap. Can't believe that. Yeah, I'm gonna buy it. Hopefully shipping prices aren't super bad, and I will see you chatters later. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking by. Bye-bye.